What if I told you that you're not actually living your own life? That every choice you think you're making, every pattern you can't seem to break, every relationship that feels like déjà vu, none of it is really yours. You're a walking library of everyone who came before you. Your great-grandmother's fear of abandonment, your father's hidden rage, your mother's need to please everyone. Ancient wounds and forgotten dreams, all playing out through your body, your relationships, your career. Most people spend their entire lives as unconscious actors in someone else's drama, playing roles they never auditioned for, following scripts they never read. But what happens when you wake up in the middle of the performance? What happens when you realize the stage lights are on, the audience is watching, and you have absolutely no idea what play you're in? That moment of recognition? That's where everything changes. Because buried beneath all these inherited patterns, there's someone else, someone who's been waiting your entire life to finally take center stage, someone who knows exactly who you are when all the costumes come off. Today, we're going backstage. We're meeting the entire cast of characters that's been running your show. Not to judge them or fight them, but to finally understand what they're trying to tell you. Because here's what nobody wants you to know. The moment you stop being an unconscious actor and become a conscious director, that's the moment your real life begins. Let me tell you about the most important discovery in psychology that nobody talks about. Carl Jung figured out something that changes everything. We're not just carrying our own pain, we're carrying the pain of every human who ever lived. Sounds heavy, right? It is. But it's also the key to your freedom. Jung called it the collective unconscious. Think of it like this. Underneath your personal story, your childhood, your heartbreaks, your victories, there's something deeper. A vast underground network connecting you to everyone who's ever felt lost, loved, betrayed, or hopeful. These connections aren't abstract. They're alive in you right now. They show up as the patterns you can't break, the people you're drawn to, the dreams that wake you up shaken, the stories that make you cry even when you don't know why. Jung called these patterns archetypes. But I want you to think of them as the cast of characters living inside you. Each one has a voice. Each one has needs. Each one is trying to tell you something about who you are and what you're here to do. The problem? Most of us never learned their language. We go through life confused by our own reactions, wondering why we keep choosing the wrong people, why we sabotage ourselves just as things get good, why we feel so damn lonely even when we're surrounded by others. But what if I told you these aren't personal failures? What if they're just forgotten languages trying to speak through you? Your anger isn't just anger. It might be your inner warrior trying to protect something sacred. Your sadness isn't just sadness. It might be your soul grieving parts of yourself you've abandoned. Your restlessness isn't just restlessness. It might be your true self calling you home. When you start to recognize these voices, something magical happens. You stop fighting yourself. You start working with the deeper currents of your being instead of against them. Let me introduce you to the family you never knew you had. Your whole self. Deep inside you lives someone who knows exactly who you are. Not the you that pleases others. Not the you that achieves things. The you that exists before all the masks and roles and shoulds. Jung called this the self. I call it your North Star. This is the part of you that whispers yes when something is right and no when it isn't. The part that can't be bought or sold or impressed. The part that remains steady when everything else falls apart. You've felt this presence. in moments when you knew something without knowing how you knew, when you felt completely yourself, even if just for a second. When synchronicities lined up like the universe was winking at you. The self appears in your dreams as wise figures, divine children, perfect circles, or moments of pure light. It's trying to remind you, you are more than your problems, more than your history, more than the story you tell yourself about who you're supposed to be. When you're aligned with this deeper self, life flows. Decisions become clear. You stop needing external validation because you have something unshakable inside. When you're disconnected from it, you feel lost, empty, like you're going through the motions but not really living. The journey back to this center is what Jung called individuation. But I think of it as coming home to yourself. Your shadow. Now let's talk about the part of you that you'd rather pretend doesn't exist. We all have a shadow. It's everything you've decided you're not allowed to be. Your anger if you were taught to be nice. Your neediness if you learned to be strong. Your ambition if you were raised to be humble. Here's the thing about shadows. The more you push them away, the stronger they get. You know you've met your shadow when someone triggers you instantly. When your reaction is way bigger than the situation. When you find yourself saying, "I would never," about something, then finding yourself doing exactly that. Your shadow shows up in the people you can't stand, in the behaviors that disgust you, in the parts of others that make you physically uncomfortable. But here's what most people don't understand. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's your power in exile. That anger you're so afraid of? It might be the fierce protector you need. That selfishness you judge? It might be your healthy boundaries trying to emerge. That darkness you push away? It might be your depth, your authenticity, your refusal to be fake. I'm not saying become your shadow. I'm saying stop running from it, because what you run from runs your life. The goal isn't to eliminate your shadow. It's to dance with it, to say, "I see you. I know you're part of me." Now let's figure out how to work together instead of against each other. Your inner masculine and feminine inside every person lives both masculine and feminine energies. Jung called these the anima and animus. But think of them as the full spectrum of your humanity. Your inner masculine shows up as your drive, your logic, your ability to take action and create structure. Your inner feminine appears as your intuition, your creativity, your capacity to receive and flow. Most of us have been taught to favor one over the other. We've been told to be strong or to be soft, to lead or to follow, to think or to feel. But you need both. Your masculine without your feminine becomes harsh, rigid, disconnected. Your feminine without your masculine becomes scattered, overwhelmed, unable to manifest your gifts in the world. This inner marriage is where real power lives. When these energies work together inside you, you become whole. You can be both gentle and fierce, both visionary and practical, both vulnerable and strong. You see this integration in people who seem to have it all together, not because their lives are perfect, but because they're not at war with themselves. Your social mask. Let's be honest about something. We all wear masks. Jung called this the persona, the face you show the world. It's not fake, exactly. It's more like adaptive. The professional version of you, the family gathering version, the first date version. The persona serves a purpose. It helps you navigate different social situations. It protects your tender inner self from a world that isn't always safe. The problem comes when you forget you're wearing a mask. When you start believing that the role is who you really are. You know this is happening when you feel exhausted from being yourself, when you can't relax even when you're alone, when you've been performing for so long you've forgotten what your authentic expression feels like. The healthy approach isn't to throw away all your masks, it's to wear them consciously, to remember that they're tools, not your identity. Your inner wise one. Deep inside you lives an ancient presence. Someone who's seen it all, learned from it all, and emerged with compassion intact. This is your inner wise one, the part of you that knows, not the part that thinks or analyzes or worries, the part that knows. You've felt this presence in moments of crisis when unexpected wisdom emerged, in conversations when you said exactly what someone needed to hear, even though you didn't plan it, in decisions that felt completely right, even when they didn't make logical sense. This wise presence doesn't judge your mistakes. It sees them as learning. It doesn't panic about your future. It trusts your journey. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It loves you as you are. When you can access this inner wisdom, you stop looking outside yourself for answers. You stop needing gurus or experts or authorities to tell you what's right for your life. Your inner child. Inside you lives someone who still believes in magic, who approaches life with wonder instead of cynicism, who loves without calculating the risk. This is your inner child, not the wounded parts that need healing, but the eternal part that keeps you alive, curious, and capable of joy. Our world teaches us to grow up, be serious, be realistic. But what if realistic isn't realistic? What if the child's way of seeing, where anything is possible, where play is sacred, where love is the answer, is actually the wisest way? Your inner child shows up when you get excited about something others might think is silly, when you lose track of time doing something you love, when you laugh until your stomach hurts, when you trust someone completely despite your mind's warnings. This energy isn't naive, it's revolutionary. In a world that's forgotten how to wonder, your inner child is your rebellion against despair. Your inner rebel. Speaking of rebellion, let's talk about the part of you that refuses to follow the rules. Every system has a trickster, the one who points out that the emperor has no clothes, who asks uncomfortable questions, who disrupts things just when they're getting too serious or rigid. Your inner rebel isn't trying to destroy everything. It's trying to keep you free, to prevent you from getting trapped in other people's expectations, to remind you that you have choices, even when everyone says you don't. This energy shows up when you do something completely out of character that turns out to be exactly what you needed. When you make a joke that breaks tension, everyone was pretending wasn't there. When you take a risk that seems crazy but feels absolutely right. Your rebel can get you in trouble, yes, but it can also save your life when conformity is slowly killing your soul. You might be thinking, this sounds nice, but how do I actually recognize these patterns in my real life? Start with your triggers. When someone pushes your buttons instantly, pay attention. When your reaction is bigger than the situation deserves, that's an archetype speaking. When you find yourself in the same patterns over and over, that's an archetype trying to get your attention. Your dreams are direct messages from this deeper part of yourself. The dreams that stick with you, that feel important even when they don't make logical sense. Those are archetypal dreams. Don't worry about interpreting them perfectly. Just notice. Which figures show up repeatedly? Which scenarios keep playing out? What emotions do these dreams carry? Pay attention to the characters in stories that move you deeply. The ones you love, the ones you hate, the ones you can't stop thinking about. They're showing you which archetypal energies are active in your psyche right now. Notice your relationship patterns. Do you always end up taking care of others? That might be your inner parent working overtime. Do you keep attracting partners who need saving? Your inner rescuer might be projecting onto them what you need to heal in yourself. Look at your career choices. Are you drawn to helping professions, teaching roles, creative work, leadership positions? These aren't accidents. They're expressions of archetypal energies trying to find form in your life. The key is to start paying attention without judgment. These patterns aren't good or bad. They're information. They're your psyche's way of showing you what wants to be integrated, what needs healing, what's ready to emerge. We're living in strange times, aren't we? Everything feels uncertain. The old rules don't seem to work anymore. The institutions we were taught to trust keep letting us down. The stories we were told about how life works aren't matching our experience. This isn't just a personal crisis, it's a collective one. And understanding archetypes helps us see what's really happening. Our culture has been living out of balance for a long time. We've valued thinking over feeling, doing over being, individual success over community connection. We've treated the earth like a resource instead of our mother. We've treated each other like competitors instead of family. All that rejected wisdom hasn't disappeared. It's just been pushed into the collective shadow. And shadows have a way of erupting when they've been ignored too long. The anxiety you feel, the depression that seems to be everywhere, the anger that's boiling over in our politics. These aren't just individual problems. They're symptoms of archetypal forces trying to rebalance our world. Understanding this doesn't make the pain go away, but it helps you see that you're not broken. You're responding to something much larger than your personal circumstances. And here's the hopeful part. When you start doing your own archetypal work, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing the collective. Every person who integrates their shadow, who stops projecting onto others, who comes home to their authentic self, that person becomes a healing presence in the world. I need to be honest with you about something. This work isn't easy. Looking at your shadow means facing parts of yourself you've spent years avoiding. Integrating your archetypes means letting go of the stories you've told yourself about who you are and who you're supposed to be. There will be moments when you'll want to go back to sleep, when conscious living feels like too much responsibility, when ignorance feels like bliss. But here's what I've learned. The pain of staying unconscious is always greater than the pain of waking up. When you're unconscious, you repeat the same patterns endlessly. You hurt the people you love in the same ways you were hurt. You pass your unhealed wounds to the next generation. You live a small life because you're afraid of your own power. When you're conscious, you can choose. You can see patterns before they trap you. You can respond instead of react. You can love from wholeness instead of neediness. This doesn't mean you'll never feel pain. It means your pain will have meaning. Your struggles will lead to growth instead of just more struggling. The courage to look within is the courage to be fully human, to claim all of yourself, not just the acceptable parts, to stop living from fear and start living from love. Your archetypes aren't trying to control you, they're trying to free you. They're trying to show you the fullness of who you are, so you can stop limiting yourself to who you think you should be. So how do you start this journey? Begin with curiosity instead of judgment. When you catch yourself in a pattern, instead of beating yourself up, get curious. What archetype might be active here? What is it trying to protect or express? Start a dialogue journal. Write questions to different parts of yourself and let them answer. Ask your shadow what it needs. Ask your inner child what it wants to play with. Ask your wise one what it sees that you're missing. Pay attention to your dreams, even if they seem random. Keep a journal by your bed. Notice which dreams feel significant, which figures appear repeatedly, which emotions they carry. Work with your body. Different archetypal energies feel different in your body. Notice when you feel expanded versus contracted, when you feel grounded versus scattered. Your body is constantly giving you information about which energies are active. Create without judgment. Draw, write, dance, sing, not to make something good, but to let these deeper parts of yourself express. Art is the natural language of the archetypes. Find your triggers and get curious about them. Instead of judging your reactions, ask, what wounded part of me is being activated? What unintegrated energy is trying to get my attention? Practice shadow work by looking for yourself in the people who trigger you. If someone's behavior disgusts you, ask, where might I have this same tendency? If someone's pain annoys you, ask, where might I be avoiding my own pain? Most importantly, be patient with yourself. This work happens in layers over time. You don't need to figure it all out at once. You just need to start paying attention. Here's something beautiful about understanding archetypes. You realize your life isn't random. Your struggles aren't meaningless. Your pain isn't pointless. You're on a heroic journey, whether you know it or not. Every challenge you face is an initiation. Every loss teaches you something about love. Every mistake is a teacher showing you who you don't want to be, so you can discover who you are. Your depression isn't just depression. It might be your soul's way of saying, this life you're living isn't authentic. Your anxiety isn't just anxiety. It might be your intuition picking up on things your mind can't see yet. Your anger isn't just anger. It might be your inner protector trying to establish healthy boundaries. When you start seeing your life through this lens, everything changes. Your struggles become sacred. Your healing becomes heroic. Your growth becomes a gift not just to yourself, but to everyone whose lives you touch. This doesn't mean romanticizing your pain or bypassing the real work of healing. It means recognizing that your individual journey is part of something much larger and more meaningful than you might have imagined. So here's my invitation to you. Start where you are. With whatever pain brought you to this video, with whatever pattern you're tired of repeating, with whatever question keeps you up at night. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to look, to listen, to let these deeper parts of yourself be known. Your archetypes have been waiting your whole life for this conversation. They're not trying to complicate your life. They're trying to complete it. They're not trying to control you. They're trying to free you from the controls you don't even know are there. This work will change you. It will change how you see yourself, how you relate to others, how you move through the world. It will ask you to let go of who you thought you were supposed to be so you can become who you actually are. That's not a small thing. That's everything. Your true self is calling. Your whole self is waiting. Your healing is needed, not just by you, but by all of us. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing. Are you willing to stop living from your wounds and start living from your wholeness? Are you willing to see the sacred in your struggles and the heroic in your healing? Are you willing to come home to yourself? If your answer is yes, even a scared, uncertain yes, then you're ready to begin. Your archetypes are waiting to meet you. And trust me, it's a reunion you'll never forget. What's calling to you right now? Which voice inside you is asking to be heard? Leave a comment and let me know. Your sharing might be exactly what someone else needs to hear.